It was an unfortunate incident. No doubt about that. Nobody is happy about the killing. Very unfortunate and avoidable incident, but it has happened. And we commiserate with the Nigerian Army, Nigerian state, the president, who is also the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria. Such incident shouldn't have happened at all for those soldiers to be taken down in their prime. It was most unfortunate. That has been a narrative, but we try to push back on that narrative. It's not so much about a misunderstanding between two communities of Ijaw and Urhobo. It is not true. I have said in some other forum before that that cannot be the basis for that level of tragedy. The Ijaws and the Urhobos, they have lived in harmony over years. And so to come around and be pushing that narrative is a fraudulent venture. It shouldn't come in at all. Yes, there could be squabbles, and you can't take that out. Once you have communities of different, maybe some socio-cultural orientation, there are bound to be differences, which of course are resolved as they live their life in time and space. But that it will come to a point when even a third party will be so inflated with that category of injury. It has not happened before. And so there is so much underlying it, which people are not talking about. We use this opportunity to really say something about the Nigerian army. Maybe it's the fault of the Nigerian state. We are in a democratic setting. We are in a democratic dispensation. Either the army has not been taken along or they've not been given enough political education. That under a democracy, the army is subordinate to a civil authority. The army is not, or the military as an institution, is not anything more than the civil service. Is just an arm of the civil service too. And so everything that happens within that institution has to follow laws, lay down laws. Remember the military, the army, navy, air force, or whatever agency you're going to talk of in Nigeria, they are all creation of laws. And the laws governing them must be followed. The military, the army is not a country unto itself. It's not a sovereignty. It's also not a law unto itself. It's governed by the law that sets it up. And so when the army or the military as a whole suffers injury, it is not entirely within the place of the military to seek remedies for its own injury. And this has been the tradition, which is why I talked of lack of political education. The army has not been integrated in the leadership process. That is a process that recognizes civil authority. The army has not been fully integrated. If they have been integrated, we will not be having incidents like this. Because the tradition is that anything that affects the army, they do it their own way in seeking remedy. It is not so. There are laid down rules. If the army has anything with maybe a police officer, the next you hear is that a group of soldiers will just march out, raise down the police station, maybe kill some people, and nothing happens thereafter. So they have lived with that tradition that in the event of any injury on the institution or persons of that institution, they are at liberty to seek their own remedies outside statutory framework. That cannot continue, and that should be discouraged. And so if 16 soldiers were taken down in Okwama, bad as it is, there must be a way of following it such that those responsible will be only those that will face the consequences of the law. The Delta State government is constrained because I think I got a narration even this morning that the thing had been building, festering, but the Delta State government was not decisive in taking care of the issue. That yes, they got to know when there were some kind of allegation of killings and all of that, and a peace accord was signed. But there wasn't an effective follow-up until the local government political leadership was dismantled or was just, of course, timed out, as it were. And then the place became the two local governments without chairman. That was the narration I got this morning from an analyst. The Delta State government in the circumstance is constrained because the governor could not even access the scene of crime. Only the soldiers are just there stating whatever is taking place there. Nobody has been able to get there. Ordinarily, the state governor or government should be more forceful. They should find some ways. The governor is the chief security officer of the state, for all we know. And if anything is happening in the state, I think he is the first line of defense. He should be the one to direct. Strategically, he should actually be the one to reach out for tactical support that will go into the place to ascertain the damage and whatever is happening in real terms and real time. But for the Delta State government to be completely taken out of the scenario by the presence of the military, it's not good. And it doesn't even show we are in a democratic dispensation. It's almost like we are under a military state. That shouldn't happen. I think the Delta State government should assert its role. If it is to set up a commission of inquiry, they have all the instruments to do what is needed to be done in the particular circumstance. Oil will always have something to do with anything heinous that takes place in the Niger Delta. In the oil economy has evolved into a very high-stake game. And then the attendant injustice that comes with the oil, the exploitation of that resource, vis-a-vis the expectations of the people. It has been in the background of anything that happens there. And what has come to be now is, after a time, people just felt that no, the oil cannot be entirely be exploited to the benefit of the Nigerian state without adequate compensation for those they call the host communities. And so people have taken it upon themselves that, yes, this thing is with us here. And if you take it and we are not getting corresponding benefits, we should also take it ourselves. And these are the considerations, the sentiments that have created a new economy, a new sociology, the one we now talk illegal bunkering, involving criminal elements or non-state actors, and everything is around the oil. So there is an angle that this is very well one of those transactions about oil business, oil transaction, and then the aggrieved party taking it out on the other party, which may have resulted in this kind of calamity. The army may have acted before they begin to reason. If they know the culprit, and then they have zeroed everything down to either a quarter or a particular person, why the suffering in Okwama? Why take out a whole community? Why do all of that? I have always maintained that if the army is not made to play by the rules, this is just symptomatic of the issues we are talking about. Tomorrow, the same thing will happen. But up and above this is the feeling that what is happening because the people, the region involved, is helpless. We will expect some remediation. First, the army to pull out and maybe allow some other people to maintain peace in the community while people return to their normal lives. If that is not being done, and the army is saying this, then it does not show any sincerity or purpose. That is the truth of it. And why I say that they are able to do this because of the region involved. In between, it was reported that 25 soldiers were taken out in Niger State. The military, did they just go there all out to take out the community where it happened? No. The search for the bandits, the search for those marauders, those people who killed the soldiers, that is what they will be doing. But in our own case, they just came, stationed their weapon. It's a disproportionate show of force. It's not done that way. And let it also be noted that this idea of using the military for civil engagement should be discouraged. The army is not equipped to go into civil engagement. Okay, look at the narration, the original narration, that it was a peace mission to go and settle a land dispute. Why should the army be involved in that? The army is not equipped for civil engagement. The army comes in under the cover of the police. That is, in a situation of crisis, if the police is overwhelmed by the magnitude, the sheer magnitude of that crisis, that is when they will call. In fact, it will be at the instance of the police to call for tactical support. That is when the army will come in. And the army comes in for specific purpose, to return the situation to normalcy, and then they fall back to their bases. It is not to act as an army of occupation within the same Nigerian territory. It doesn't happen that way. Is it a case of insurrection, then you want to bring down insurrection? It's not so. There is no rebellion anywhere in this part of the country, except what is known in the northeast and these Boko Haram campaigns. Otherwise, the Niger Delta, has it been reported that there is a group that is fighting to overwhelm the federal government? That is not true. It's only when there is a group, a defined group, fighting to overwhelm the federal government, that is when the army will come in, because at that point, it is no longer a civil disturbance. It's no longer civil disobedience. It becomes something more critical that calls for the army, intervention of the army. What is happening is symptomatic of the fault lines of the Nigerian state. The Nigerian state is wrongly structured, is anchored on wrong parameters, and it cannot continue. We are not running a federation. If we are running a federation, the resources will be the primary responsibilities. That is, the exploitation of the resources will be the primary responsibility of the two governors, or of the governors of the Niger Delta. And then there is an arrangement for the federal government to be paid tax. That is the whole idea of resource control, the whole idea of fiscal federalism. But that is not done. And then what is even more painful is that the kind of attention that government, the federal government, the central government, give to things in the Niger Delta, we don't see it elsewhere. In the whole of the Middle Belt, well, of course, it's a mineral zone, solid minerals and all of that. The kind of attention, the kind of militarization we experience here because they want to extract oil, is it what we see there in the Middle Belt? Are there no other mineral deposit, other form of mineral deposit elsewhere in the country? Is the kind of militarization, the kind of things, the rules that apply in the Niger Delta, are they the same rules that apply in these other locations? And which is why you say that it's a faulty federation. And I say it is not going to end. It's not going to end because if we are going to end, it would have ended with Adakaboro. If we are going to end, it would have ended with Kensarowiwa. It would have ended with the Odi massacre. It would have ended with Okerenkoko. But after one incident, another incident, it means that there is no way you can begin to stand on injustice perpetually. No way. Someday you are going to lose some focus. You are going to sleep. You will lose some presence. And that injustice will try to rise up to a level of justice. That is what is happening in the Niger Delta. And it shall continue to happen until things are redrawn, things are renegotiated on the basis of justice. The way forward is this restructuring everybody is clamoring for. Number one. Number two, that even in the interim, the Niger Delta should be opened up. These places you're talking now, even as an indigenous of the Niger Delta, there are some areas that I have not been to. But until recently, where you have some of these fake connections, I call them fake connections because they are not really proper routes. That Bomadi, for instance, is connected with a bridge that you can now access Bomadi by road. But beyond that, you see that many of these places where this oil is being exploited, they are isolated locations, completely isolated by the terrain, by the topography, the environment, the swamp. And we cannot create infrastructure that will open up the place such that you don't need to make all this kind of unofficial arrangement of how to police oil assets. But from a location, you will be able to see everything. When the place is open up in development, when the place is clear that there is no hiding place for anybody, and there is no reason for protest, you will see that peace somehow will return to the Niger Delta. Because what is happening in the Niger Delta is rebellion against injustice, continued injustice. And if anybody hopes that, with militarization or somehow with the passage of time it is going to dissipate and then it won't happen again, it's not going to be like that. It will continue until something drastic is done. And I'm happy that the man there as president, he is a Democrat. And part of his build-up was the promise to actually make Nigeria a true federation. So I don't think he should renege on those things. Part of his credentials as a politician is his position that Nigeria actually needs to be restructured along the lines of a true federal state, and which is why the only system of government that can ensure peace is not just about the Niger Delta region alone, across. In fact, is there any region that is not in a way protesting, contesting the Nigerian structure? Every region, the southeast is embroiled. If you talk of the northeast, the same thing. The middle belt, the same thing. So every section, every region of this country is not happy with the arrangement, but the will to do it is what is lacking. There is nothing to reinvent about the Nigerian situation. Everything has been laid out. It is for us to cut and then paste it right.